Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for episode 3 of the Designing for the Desert webinar series, where we explore practical, innovative, and climate responsive strategies for designing and delivering sustainable buildings in arid regions like the UAE and the wider. In episode 2, we had an insightful hands-on session with Pradosh Khan, where we saw how simulation tools and early stage analysis can help shape sustainable architecture for desert climates. From solar behavior to passive cooling strategies, that session was all about design performance. Today, we're taking that conversation forward from performing at the drawing board to performance in the real world. It's my pleasure to welcome Harkeerat Singh, a senior leader at WSP Middle East, with over 15 years of experience in architecture, urban design, and project delivery across some of the most complex and challenging projects in the region. What makes Harkeerat's perspective so valuable is his multidisciplinary expertise, combining architecture, project management, and environmental law with recognized credentials like PMP and PM In today's session, titled Managing Complexity in the Desert, Integrating Project Delivery, Risk, and Urban Resilience in Arid Environments, we'll explore how to deliver successful projects in harsh
Hi, Arid,
desert
can you hear me?
climates. Yes, I can hear you. In today's session, we'll explore how to deliver successful projects in harsh desert climates, navigate environmental risks, and plan for long-term resilience at the urban scale. So let's dive in. Please join me in welcoming Harkeerat Singh. Hi, Harkeerat. Can you hear us? All right, so we'll just give it a minute until Harkeerat is back, and once you can hear him, then continue from there.
Hi, Udit. Can you hear me now better, perhaps?
Yes, this is much better.
All right.
So,
I've just changed devices. I've just shifted onto a different laptop. Will that work for you? I think so. I'll not be
yes,
able to
that
share
is
screen. That's the only thing. That's an issue, I
okay.
think so.
So what we'll do is we have Nidesh with us share the screen and we can guide him on the slides as we go forward.
All right.
Just a minute, and let me just fix that for you.
No worries.
All right. So just let me know once the screen is visible. Um, all right. So Nidesh, you can go ahead and share the screen, and then you begin the presentation. Okay. Over to you, Harkeerat.
All right. Perfect. If you can just scroll down to the first slide, I just rearranged the order a bit, but perhaps we can just scroll down to the latest slides. If you can just go down further down. Another one down, and another one. If you can scroll down another one. All
Super
right,
stuff.
perfect. All right, perfect. We can make a start. Thank you so much, Udit, for calling me in. First of all, I'd like to thank you for this really wise endeavor. I feel that the knowledge of project management and sustainability is pretty important in our field in construction. I think people are aware of individual and in isolation and silos about project management and sustainability. But I feel that this particular session, which we're having today, I might be able to shed some light with regards to project management and sustainability working together as a whole. And we just basically want to run through a couple of items doing that. I'll give you a quick introduction about myself before I can begin. This is for the like of everybody on the call. Thank you, everybody, for joining in, first of all. My name is Harkeerat Singh. I've been in the region for around 8.5 years. I have over 10 years of experience in architecture, urban design, and construction project management. Obviously, with unique understanding of entire project life cycles from starting all the way to the end. I work primarily in the field of project management, in which we are using both traditional as well as agile methodologies. I'll be giving a lot of examples going down in this presentation about project management as well as agile ways of handling issues what we are encountering on the site. Other than this, I've got wide knowledge about the scenarios happening in the Middle East. This is not just exclusive to UAE, but it's also also to the other regions such as Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which is really upcoming nowadays. A bit about my introduction, like my education. I've got a master's in business administration. I got it from India. Other than that, I've got a executive learning platform from University of Oxford, Side School of Business. I took a course in there for strategic projects program, leading them. I am an architect. I also have a degree, a postgraduate diploma, perhaps in environmental law and policy. This was basically just to learn more about the environmental aspects other than project management. This was an undertaking when I came here to the Middle East. This is from National Law University in Delhi. Other than that, I also have a bachelor's in arts in liberal arts and sciences. This was just for my interest in history. I do believe in continuous professional development, so I keep on aiming for more. And I'm on my pathway to being a full member for ICS, which should be pretty much in the near future. Other than this, I have a couple of certifications under my belt. I have a project management professional certification from PMI. I'm also an agile certified professional. Other than that, currently I'm a full member for Association for Project Managers in the UK. This is basically helping me with the agile methodologies, which I've been using in my project management career. Like already stated, different challenging environments and authority approvals is something which I look over at, and that is pretty much my background. I'll also, if you can go to the next slide, please. All right. With regards to the topic, I've been called in here to shed some light on designing in arid environments, which I feel is arid. So first of all, I'd like to explain what an arid environment is for the likes of people who are basically confusing it with deserts. So desert is part of an arid environment, but not encompassing all of arid environments. Arid environment is basically any particular environment in which regular flora fauna is not part of the culture, like extensive flora and fauna. You can see that multi-level environments can be in Canada, in US, and India, but UAE and Saudi Arabia and Middle East, they are considered arid because the climatic conditions over here are separate and they're more hot, they're more dry. There's humidity in a lot of places. So these things need to be considered while we're designing in this region. We will be talking about integrated approach for arid environments, which is critical, project management and sustainable developments in arid environments, especially in Dubai. I'll be giving a couple of examples to basically lead this discussion. I also feel that these things cannot be seen in isolation, like I already mentioned. So there'll be some examples to cater to this particular item as well. Other than this, my insights for all of this are drawn by multidisciplinary academic backgrounds, like I've already stated, and a lot of projects that I've done in the region. I also want to talk about WSP. I work for this company called WSP. I've been with them for 3 years. I work in the capacity of a senior consultant in development planning and urban design. This is a division within the advisory, and WSP as a whole is a big company. It's one of the largest engineering corporations, conglomerates in the world. We have a big team over here who are supporting us in different streams such as T&I, which is transport and infrastructure, properties and buildings, advisory services, ESG services. So it's a big team over here. We're over 5,500, 6,000 people here just in the Middle East. So it's a big team, offices worldwide. Also, I just want to shed some light on what I'll also be talking about, which is interconnectedness of disciplines. Like I said, need a holistic approach towards integration of legal. We want to talk about design. We want to talk about project delivery constraints, considerations from the very outset of the project. So that is going to be my key agenda for today. I would have loved to show a couple of slides for WSP. So those are slides which were on the top. If you can just scroll up to the top, you can just quickly run through 2-3 slides for WSP, just at the top of the page. If you can do that. Perfect. All right. As stated, we are a global network, over 70,000 employees globally. We are almost on every continent. Name a place, we have an office there. Just in the Middle East, we have over 6,500, 7,000 people now. These numbers are a bit old, but we've got offices in every major city, especially in UAE. We have offices in Sharjah. We have offices in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. If you can scroll to the next one. All right. Just quietly giving you an outset on what the vision of WSP as a whole is we are basically delivering the best projects we possibly can for the clients. We are very well known in the built environment and the natural environment sector, especially in sustainability. Again, our manifesto and guiding principles on the screen, a quick glance through them. We are locally dedicated, doing the best we can. We are future ready. So that's a very big aspect of WSP here in the Middle East. Without taking more time, I'll just go to the next slide, which is basically what all do we provide as in services over here in the Middle East. If you can go to the next one.
Take your time. We have all time.
Yeah, okay. I just want to talk about the topic more. All right. So capability and capacity, I've already stated about this. Leading engineering firm. I'm sure everybody's heard of us. We are in every region, even in India, as a matter of fact. Very big offices. We think international and local. Also, we have multidisciplinary leads and streams assisting us from global networks in WSP for projects here in the Middle East. They come with their solid background, such as tunneling or such as historic preservation or heritage consultants. We have a lot of people coming and helping us out. WSP is known for their future-ready initiatives. I will be speaking about a couple of them in the following slides. Again, a very major presence in the Middle East. And if you can scroll down to the next one. And yes, the final slide on WSP, we do design better. If you have any questions, please feel to follow up with us. We believe in places should be designed for people who live there, who work there, and especially who visit there. This is very serious statement for the Middle East sector, because we have a lot of tourist footfall here in the region. So places have to be designed keeping everything in consideration, but residents and people who are living and working there are of utmost important in our design process. All right, we can go to the slides for the work particularly. If you can scroll down. Next slide, and the next slide after that. The next slide. Yes, all right. So coming to the topic of the day, which is project management in arid region developments. All right, let me start with giving a quick introduction on the way how project management is run in the region. I think it's important to set the ground rules and make the people who are attending this call a bit more knowledgeable about what I'm speaking about, so that they are not left in the corner and they're not aware of the terminologies. I will list down what we are speaking on the slide, but I'll just give you a quick introduction on what is project management. Basically, every project is unique. Every project is unique. You can compare aspects of one project to another, but still every project is unique. There's unique clientele, there's unique environmental factors, there's unique budgets, which we've got to work to. And along with that, we have a lot of terminologies and a lot of streams of project management that we use. This includes both traditional project management as well as agile project management. I will quickly read through what I feel is the parts of traditional project management which are critical in this region, starting with scope management. It's important to make sure that the scopes are in order. We have a work breakdown structure, issues for unique climate-related elements such as specialized cooling systems, dust mitigation features, and sustainability need to be considered. So it's important to make sure that the scope is managed from the onset of the job, followed by a schedule management, which is even more critical. Being in the Middle East, I have learned one thing, that every project definitely needs to be done before the timeline finishes. It happens here, believe me. I've seen towers being constructed in record-breaking times. There's a building just next to where I live, and in 6 months, they've constructed 17 odd stories. So that is speed. So obviously, speed is critical. There are issues like delay penalties, which are enforced. So we are kind of on a tight timeline. But with regards to schedule management and sustainability, I feel there's a lot of things that need to be considered, such as non-workable hours. This is something which I'll be touching later down in the slide deck as well, which is extreme heat, which we are facing here in the Middle East. People are aware temperature hits up to 50 degrees here in the cities. So there are government mandates and policies which are in place where worker timeline due to extreme heat is kind of limited. So there are non-workable hours in which in the middle of the day, the workers cannot work on site. This is a mandate and this is enforced by law. People who break them, I will not say people, let's say organizations that break them, they are penalized on a very heavy basis. I'm happy to answer questions on this later. I've seen good examples recently. Definitely, we need to talk about potential sandstorms that happen in the region. There are longer material curing timings, if you want to talk about it. Critical path analysis is key. Also, we need to talk about that. Just on the example of concrete, let's just for the sustainability aspect of it, they plan on pouring concrete in cooler night hours because it's easier to set, incorporating buffer times into the program. So I think this is a key aspect which you talk about. We also talk about cost management. All of these things buck up a lot of money. So we need to be making sure that good specialized materials are used, advanced cooling systems, filtration systems should be in process. There are premium labor costs for challenging conditions. People usually forget about these things. And also value engineering. Oh, all right. Value engineering is a different topic altogether, but I've just mentioned this because it's part of cost management. We try to make the best with whatever we have in terms of cost and budgets. But obviously, the clientele in this region are always wanting to explore more, better, efficient, and workable systems and processes to make sure that the costs are controlled and also the best technology is being used. UAE, as we all know, is the global leader in introducing the best things in the world. For example, let's start with just our construction industry. Burj Khalifa, the tallest tower in the world. In Dubai, one of the largest Ferris wheels in the world. That's a WSP project, as a matter of fact. So there are a lot of things that the UAE is doing. So we are very happy working in this region. I'm sure Udit will he'll second that particular statement. We also want to talk about resource management a bit, which is also part of project management. Efficient allocation of human resources for heat, for specialized training, for arid conditions need to also be considered. We talk about dust-proof machinery. It's also critical. We want to make sure that all machinery is working in the best particular way. There's a lot of sandstorms that happen here. So high performance concrete and all of these things are also very critical. Insulation is something which is very important. Higher R value materials that are being used are also a very key element of what we are doing here. Other than this, I want to talk about something which is also very critical, which is stakeholder management, which is also the last part of my project management introduction of the job, which we are doing right now, which is arid region development. Stakeholders are key here, especially government. The government makes sure that everything is being followed based on international framework. They definitely have their own laws in place. We'll be talking a couple about that in the later slides, that the decrees that they've released and how we are aligned with COP28 and what all is happening. So it's important that stakeholder management with government and with diverse other stakeholders such as regulators, investors, environmental agencies, USGBC, which is United States Green Building Council, and EGBC, which is Emirates Green Building Council. So a lot of stakeholders are in place. So it's important that as part of project management, all of these things are considered while you are at the onset of the project as well as throughout the life cycle of the job. I also want to touch on a particular item which people don't talk about a lot in construction industry. It's called agile. Agile perspective is mostly used in IT technology, but a lot of inference on agile has been now put on the construction industry as well. Starting with adaptive and iterative planning. A lot of agile principles are being used nowadays on bottom up approach, where basically instead of starting with dealing with the problem directly, we basically first take the worst case scenario and start designing backwards, which makes us very future ready and what basically needs to be achieved. Following this, we also like to work with cross-functional teams. Traditionally, there's a group of people who are sitting in an office and they think that they can do everything on their own, but agile makes sure that these self-forming teams are working with diverse expertise. So a lot of architects, engineers, environmental lawyers, project managers are already in the picture, and they are collaboratively addressing challenges. Let's say a good example would be heat mitigation strategies. So a lot of these buildings that we are working right now require, especially in the UAE region, heavy chillers support. I'll explain it to everybody. In the worldwide scenario, let's take India, for example. Air conditioning is something which is not given too much importance, but understand in the UAE, the temperature, especially in the arid regions that we're talking about right now, UAE, Saudi, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, a lot of these places, the cooling is very critical, especially in these 4 months of summer. So there is a cross-functional importance of HVAC, which is engineers and material scientists and safety officers. They come together from a bottom-up approach and they try to solve the issue. So there's a lot of good passive cooling solutions like wind towers, wind catchers that are being implemented in projects. One of my projects, which I worked in my previous organization called Madinat Jumeirah Living, it's a key project. It's just in front of Burj Al Arab, and they used traditional wind catchers on top of buildings to basically improve on passive cooling. So it really helped down reducing cooling loads. Like in chiller systems, which are really expensive to maintain. And I feel that agile as another important item also talks about continuous feedback and learning. In traditional project management, you finish a project, you start a next one, but lessons learned and continuously improving on what went wrong is part of a regular feedback loop, which has started to being implemented in every major company, be it WSP or any other major conglomerate. I will not name names, but everybody is absolutely using it. Just a good example of this would be the flash floods that happened last year. People are saying that, oh, Dubai was not planned for it, and everything was flooded. You must have seen 100,000 reels on internet and influence in social medias, but people are not aware of the fact that originally the city was not catering to so much of floods and storms. But as soon as that happened, as part of a continuous learning experience, UAE came up with the billions of dollars worth of stormwater drainage system, and now they are already implementing it. The design is going on, and they're going to implement that because environmental conditions are changing. There is a lot of rain happening now because of cloud seeding. There's a lot of things that are happening, but the UAE government has seen that there were a lot of issues, and just to add to the UAE's government's efficiency, the city was only closed for 2 odd days. On the third day, everything was functioning back to normal. There were emergency response item trucks on the site, and they were taking care of everything. So it's important that a continuous feedback loop system is used. Agile methodologies are critical here, and they're doing the same. All right, coming to the slide deck now, I would be talking about the things. I've kind of touched on all of these things already, but let's start with extreme heat. Worker safety is a key consideration that people here are very, very, very they're putting a lot of stress on getting this resolved, especially with heat strokes in these coming months. So there is a law now, like I stated, non-working hours, 12 o'clock, 12:30, all the way till to 3:30. We have to give them shelter. We have to give them place where there is some kind of ventilation happening, air conditioning. There's cooler systems implemented over there. They have to be provided proper facilities to rejuvenate, such as water, cool water, and everything. So this is critical. This is happening. So this is one of the very key elements of sustainability. And let's say worker well-being, which is a very critical thing, followed by, like I already stated, rest areas, cooling vest for workers, good PPE kits for workers. It's not the same PPE kits people use worldwide, because in other regions these kits are very heavy and protective. They've come up with better solutions for good PPE kits over here, so that is critical. With regards to sandstorms, these are very frequent in the summer months when there are very heavy sandstorms. There's a lot of equipment damage used to happen back in the day, but now we are using better industrial grades filtration systems for these heavy machineries. I recently was on a site, and we were just seeing the RMC concrete pouring system, and they were changing filters on a weekly basis. This is unheard of in different countries. So they are making sure that all of this is taken care of. This is part of a very major project management approach. Water scarcity, obviously people would consider that Middle East has major water scarcity, but they are kind of wrong in saying so, because Middle East has major gulf in the region, which is the water, and there's a lot of desalination that is happening. Also, we have natural water reserves which are being used. But in terms of project management, cost management for dedicating budgeting for high water costs is really considered in the longer play of things. So that is something which is very important. Resource management is critical here. Water meters are put in order. Water efficiency is there. There's a lot of rules and bylaws with regards to the same. Again, we talk about value delivery, which is, I think, so very critical. So all of these things are integrated as part of the project management approach from the onset of the project for especially arid region development. And this has helped us to work and finish up projects in record-breaking times. Let us put it like that. So that's that. We can go to the next slide, if that's okay. Uh, all right. Okay. So the next particular item which I want to speak about is integration of risk and resilience in desert planning. All right. This is a very important subject. I feel that conducting so there are a lot of rules in place. Let's start with EIAs. Okay, it's environmental impact assessment. The government here does not let you touch anything on the site till the time an EIA is not done. So it's important that, so this was a major risk factor that people used to start migrating and doing things on the site, without without reviewing environmental aspects and environmental impacts to what was happening on the site. So EIA is very critical. There's a lot of data driven approach we are using a lot of tools now, especially with AI coming into the picture. So a lot of risks are being they're being how do I put it nicely, a lot of risks are being reviewed and mitigated in a very timely manner, and we are using data which is available worldwide to make the best of what we can do. A good example is the constructions happening in Nevada desert in US. Okay, this is an old developments happening over there. All of the data was used to basically put together the frameworks here as well. We use a lot of these examples to make our processes more efficient. Again, we have remotely sent satellite imagery for a lot of these things, even for flood impact and analysis on critical infrastructure. So this is what we are doing anyways right now. I want to talk about a bit on mitigation for urban infrastructure. This is key. Strategies are designed here to withstand desert-specific stressors. This also include managing occasional rainfall, like I'm stating, other than the flash floods that happened. There is a stormwater drainage system that we are implementing, which are more, which can cater to more water. There's adopting of smart technologies for real-time urban infrastructure and monitoring. There's a lot of smart systems within the buildings for cooling and the building health, which are being implemented right now. We are also talking about a lot of green infrastructure happening, managing water runoffs and more efficiently. So a lot of systems are being introduced and strategies are being taken care in the UAE right now. So this is something key. There's a lot of retrofitting also happening in terms of drainage, waterproofing, to improve resilience of these structures. So that is something which we are doing right now extensively here in the Middle East. Other than this, there's some examples of adaptive strategies. I've already stated about it, Dubai flood resilience. There's a lot of studies that are happening. There's a lot of solutions have already been proposed. There's a lot of billion-dollar projects that have been introduced. So that is happening. And a very good example for adaptive strategies would be Masdar City. This is something we learned back in design school. If you have not heard of Masdar City is one of the pioneer examples of a sustainable city worldwide. Abu Dhabi, Emirate, has this whole city which is based on a model of desert environment, and they are trying to there's exclusive reliance on renewable energies, carbon free emissions. There's a lot of extensive water recycling happening over there. Solar systems are being used, emphasis on environmental benefits, well-being of people in the areas. They are making sure that wind patterns are reviewed. So if you've not heard of Masdar City, I think so this will be a good place and a good time for yourselves if you're in this industry to have a look at Masdar City. I think there's a
So
lot of good.
interestingly, in episode one, we had a principal sustainability consultant from AESG,
All right. Okay.
Aparna, and she was actually talking about Masdar City as well, where they were bringing in a lot of sustainability aspects into the buildings and how it was being done at holistic level and not just at a building level. So I think you're kind of like echoing that back to our
Absolutely. I,
audience as
I
well.
think the good lesson I took out of Mazda City personally was high performance building envelopes. People are not talking about these things
Mhm.
nowadays. They talk about this in terms of LEED certifications and all that. Let's put LEED aside for a minute and start talking about how can we make the building better. And this is where sustainable aspects and integration of all of these things come into the picture. So if you ever have time, let's say another 15 minutes to spare ever, just Google about it, about their high performance building envelopes and natural ventilations that they're using over there. Amazing work Mazda City has done. Commendable. If you're ever in the UAE as a tourist, please make sure you go there. If you're a resident, I'm sure you've passed it and you've seen it from the outside. It's just on the way to the airport, but just have a look. You can go inside. They don't stop you. It's a great city to have a look at. And the last thing I would like to speak about on this deck would be shift to proactive urban resilience. I want to talk about inherent adaptive capability into the urban systems through integrated planning. There's a lot of emphasis being put on this on basis of deployment of smart technologies, and I think a very important aspect of this is robust governance structures. Dubai municipality, civil defense, Dubai civil defense, Dubai land departments. These guys, these authorities, which are the UAE authorities, are really pushing us to work more on these inherent adaptive technologies. It's kind of started to become part of the checklists. So this is something which we are shifting towards. We are obviously using a lot of passive design principles, which are already happening here with cutting edge technology. So this is something which I feel is very, very important, and this is also happening here on full scale. We are being penalized to let's not say penalized, it's a very negative word. We are being how do I say, positively reinforced to use them. let's call them that.
Held to a higher standard.
I just want to say this because government regulation is key, but self-identification of you doing these things is as important as government trying to push you to do things. I will give you, I'll just on the terms of the continuation of the slide deck. I think so. The next slide is very well put together. I'll just go to the next slide if that's okay, Udit, to talk about coordination objectives and regulatory and legal dimensions of sustainable design. I think I'm no expert in sustainability, but I know a thing or two about law. And believe me, law and sustainability, they come along with each other. People don't think that there are prerequisites in the market, well, by governments that are law based, and they are pushing into the regulation of sustainable design. Let's give you a good example. USGBC has this credential called LEED. Everybody's heard of LEED, okay? And LEED gives you different sorts of script certifications basically on how green and sustainable your building is. In the framework of LEED, we have Emirates Green Building Council also, which is also playing a pivotal role in promoting sustainable building practices. So we are basically using the international standards, and we're using our standards for this arid region, and we're trying to make do with this. There are a lot of other sustainability standards also in the picture to make buildings green, such as Estidama. That's also a green building. It's also a framework in which you can get credentials. But I basically want to talk about in this deck, other than regulatory features, I want to talk about indispensable role of environmental law. So let's start with that, okay? It's crucial in this complex regulatory landscape of sustainable development. It's crucial to do it. And like I stated, environmental impact assessments is key. And it's one of the very major it leads, if you are not doing it properly, there's a lot of legal implications which can follow. Okay, if you touch a tree on site, so trees are pretty important here in the UAE. Okay, if your site is a brownfield site, or let's say a greenfield site, and there are existing trees there and you want to remove them, you can't touch a tree without doing an EIA. Other than in different countries where you can just take a city's permission and you can remove a tree. I'm sure there are more rules associated with it, but you can't touch a tree on site here till the time an EIA is done, especially a ghaaf tree. Ghaaf tree is a tree which is very local to the region. And there was a recent news, I'm sure everybody would have seen it. There's a thousands of dirhams of fine if you touch a tree and you're trying to remove it. So that is part of the law. It's not part of the framework, it's part of the law. And there is enforcing authorities that are taking care of this, starting with Dubai Municipality and Ministry of Climate Change and Environment. They give you permits and EIAs, and they're the primary enforcers. I also want to talk a bit about green building regulations and what the government has put into. It starts with Dubai Municipality. They want to see things such as energy efficiency, high performance buildings, advancements. Obviously, it's not a rule per se in here, but teams are doing this themselves to get these certifications and credentials. Let's talk about water conservation, mandates on water efficient technologies. There is a very good example would be sustainable city. If you've not heard of the sustainable city, it's a very major city here in Dubai. Well, Dubai is split into cities. There's sports city, motor city, sustainable city. Sustainable city is a very good example for grey water recycling and rainwater harvesting. The way how they are using and recycling their gray water is commendable. And they're using it for non-potable uses. There's obviously, you can use the gray water which is being treated now, and you can use it for landscaping. If you go on Google Images and you just scroll in and see how green sustainable city, spot city Dubai Hills Estate is, you will see that the amount of greenery is unheard of. People still in different parts of the world consider Dubai as a desert, which is not. Just scroll in and see how much greenery there is. And this is all, people should not call it artificial greenery. This is all planned for the well-being of the residents over here. Again, there's a lot of good examples for sustainable city with regards to low carbon concrete, which they have used, recycled contents, and recycled steel was sourced locally, and they put that in the construction. Indoor air quality, which is very key, which is also a pretty important thing right now. Better materials are being used, renewable energy interactions happening. Expo City is a very major example of solar. If you want to check that out, just zoom in again, you see the amount of solar panels they've been using. There is I'll be talking about solar a bit more in detail later for a solar park. But with regards to transportation, we are advocating EV charging stations here. A lot of these cities are using buggies to roam around from place to place. They are kind of trying to stop carbon emission vehicles to be in the cities themselves. They promote, like, let's take sustainable city. They promote electric vehicles, bicycles. Even the city I was visiting back in the day, it's called Damak Hills too. Okay, everybody is on a golf buggy. They're just going to places in golf buggies. The city is self-sufficient and they're not using cars over there. So this is something which is also kind of, it's kind of, how do I put it nicely? It's kind of rewarded by the government if you're doing it. There's a lot of support from the government, and they make it like this. On the solar part, I'll give you an example which is very key over here in the region in terms of what's happening on large scale clean energy strategy. Okay. Let's take an example of Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Solar Park. Have a look, read about this. This is 100 billion dirhams green fund initiative for clean energy. And this is great. The same also goes for the nuclear power plant just came up over here a couple of years back. It's green and it's good energy which is being used. There is the Dubai Supreme Council of Energy, DIVA, which is helping us as for implementation and overseeing these strategies. So this is something which is key. Dubai, obviously, UAE obviously has a lot of targets. I'm sure you've heard about that in all these big environmental conferences that happen all over the world. We are currently on the 47% reduction in emissions by 2035. That is the current target that we have. Particular ambitious thing on this is 79% reduction targets of the building sector. This is something which is really, really, really ambitious. And this is happening right now. I'm sure this will happen. They are going to make sure that this target is achieved. We can also talk about global policies and alignment. So we are basically trying to follow up on the Paris Agreement. There's a limit of global warming to go below 2 degrees and preferable 1.5 degrees compared to pre-industrial levels. There's a lot of alignment with global policies that UAE is doing right now. So this is also key. With regards to federal decrees, without going a bit more in detail about this recent legislation there is that mandates local authorities in the UAE to develop climate mitigation and adaptation strategies. This is a part of the federal decree law number 11. If you want to read a bit more about it, this is great. Tells you about greenhouse emissions and monitoring and reporting and verification. So this is a key legal dimension of sustainable design which is being implemented over here in the UAE. I would also like to talk about enforcement. Like I stated that there are a lot of authorities that are doing it. I'll quickly tell you on detail who's enforcing what. Energy efficiency is municipality along with water conservation. That's sustainable material and waste management is also by Dubai municipality. There's Department of Waste Management over there which is enforcing all of this. Indoor air quality, I think so I spoke about it already, is proper ventilation, and there's volatile organic compounds and use of low volatile organic compounds materials. This is also enforced by Dubai municipality. It will help you improve indoor air quality. Renewable energy integration is happening. There's a lot of sustainable transportation. So RTA, which is a road and transport authority in UAE, they are promoting all of this. There's a lot of EV charging stations coming up here in the city. They're pedestrian friendly, promotion of sustainable mobility options is happening. There's a lot of transit oriented development also happening where RTA plays a very critical role. So this is something which is part of the regulatory regulatory and legal dimensions of sustainable design. We can go to the next slide, talk a bit more about agile. That's the favorite topic of the day, I feel. This is the one I like the most. Okay, like I stated already, people in this current scenario are all traditional project management, especially in the construction and built environment industry. But with more complex, large-scale projects and urban development projects coming in, a lot of agile methodologies are being used. I'll give you a bit of examples on what is happening. Okay, let's take the solar park that I was talking about earlier. There is a good agile governance. There's a good agile governance that is improving. Hi, can you hear me, Udit? Udit? I think I lost you there, Udit. Are you still there? All right, I can see the screen again. I think so. I lost Udit for a while. There is a very good agile governance too. I lost you there, Udit. Sorry, I'll just continue with the flow of the solar.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, now it is visible. I'll just continue going ahead. A very good example is Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Solar Park. Okay, it utilizes a great agile governance to improve efficiency of renewable energies. Okay, and it's contributed to 30% reduction in, because of this agile methodology, 30% reduction in construction time. You should check this out as a figure online. This is a great example of how agile methodologies in construction project management has helped make the projects more efficient. They are using a lot of agile tools like Pareto analysis and fish diagrams, and just to make sure that the projects are completed in more efficient ways. There's obviously managing stakeholder complexities and iterative planning, which is key. Let's take. I'll not be naming projects because there's a lot of NDAs that WSP has signed with a lot of clients, but this is a strong collaborative stakeholder collaboration, for project agility, and they're fostering environment where feedback is integrated quickly and efficiently. We have a lot of these meetings, we have a lot of these sprints in which we are quickly working towards solving problems in a more timely manner, more efficient manner. So there's an active stakeholder involvement in almost every decision-making process, and there's a clear, consistent communication which happens. Instead of working in silos, we are taking in consideration thoughts of every stakeholder which is there to help us to make the project a bit more better. We also talk about leadership involvement. A lot of these projects we see, they are basically given to project managers and there's no leadership involvement. We basically put them in steering committee, and there's a lot of leadership involvement, employee engagement, continuous learning, what we're talking about. And these are obviously the foundation of successful agile practices here in the UAE. All right, so this is key, I would say. And I think this is something which people need to talk about a lot and need to integrate into their designs and in their project management going forward. We are doing a lot of this work, and I'm sure that unknowingly people who are in traditional project management are also implementing agile and adaptive project delivery into their systems. They don't know about it, but they're doing it, because it's kind of become an industry practice, especially here in the arid environments where we are wanting to get things done quicker, faster, more efficiently, under budgets, and well stipulated time, so in schedule. So that is something which is critical. There is also, I would say, that very good examples, like I stated, with regards to Expo City design. There's a lot of agile principles about retrofitting now happening over there, because once the Expo finished, they are now using retrofitting examples, for net zero emissions and focusing on passive designs and active systems and HVAC lighting. And there's a lot of continuous optimization that is happening there in Expo City right now, as a very good example. So this is where I think so I'll stop. I think so I've put in my 2 cents on what I was trying to explain here, that how the government and how regulatory frameworks and how project managers and all other stakeholders are coming together to address issues with regards to arid environment design, and especially making sure that the projects are done in a very cost efficient, agile, and in a timely manner. This is I think so the key outcome of this particular slide deck which I was trying to show. There is with terms of I'd also like to add that WSP as a global leader, we are making sure that all of these things are also used in our regular design, like, and in our regular engineering also at a daily basis. It's like I stated, it's a great place to work. I've learned a lot from here as well, and it's given me opportunities to use my knowledge in real life scenarios, which is only making me better as a project manager. So with that, I'll conclude, and I'll hand it over to yourself, Adit. Maybe I hope I was not too fast.
So we've got about 7 minutes left for our Q&A. So we're going to try and go as quickly as possible with that. So I'm going to shorten that down to a rapid fire Q&A round. Thank you so much for that very, very enlightening presentation. I think it went into a lot of different aspects. We got a lot of, got to visualize a lot of different strategies, different nuances that come up when you're working on large scale projects. And it was very specific to the region, which was kind of what we were hoping for and trying to address and also highlight the good work that is being done by companies like WSP. So my quick questions for you. Number one, what's the one environmental risk that's still underestimated in desert urban planning today?
Environmental risk in desert planning, there are a lot of risks. I can't. So I don't want to upset people because look, we have a full ESG team over here. But one environmental risk I definitely would say is
underestimated. Yeah,
underestimated environmental risk. I think so. Use of water is kind of a very major risk, still kind of oversighted. Like they are not part of. Well, regulatory framework is enforcing this, but are companies looking into it is something which is very subjective. So I think this is something which needs to
scope for more to be done there.
Yeah, I like I said, this is close to me because we are talking about arid environments, right? So water is a major environmental. There's a lot of runoff that is also happening because of these flash floods, but we'll not go into that discussion. But let's do water. Yeah,
that. Water is that one environmental risk. Number two, biggest misconception project teams have when it comes to sustainable project delivery in the government.
Okay. It's over ambition by the client. I think that needs to be put into place. Project teams, when they're starting, they are overwhelmed with what the client wants to achieve. And I think it needs to put into place, there needs to be big discussions and conference, across the table from the clients where we are talking about all of these things before we start pushing our teams to start delivering things in terms of sustainability. I think people are not doing this a lot. I've seen teams committing to a lot of things which they can't deliver in a timely manner. So this is something which I feel is very critical. So this needs to be addressed as soon as possible, by everybody. We are trying to do it as much as we possibly can. We are not perfect, but we are on our way to be perfect. I don't know how to say it nicely. Okay.
Superb. All right. So number three, which one regulation or policy shift would you love to see implemented tomorrow to fast track urban sustainability here in the region?
I would not talk about it as a policy shift, but I would talk about the requirements that are required for getting these approvals in. I think so. That is a more important subject which needs to be taken care. Let's take EIA. Okay, big process. So I think if the process can be made a bit more efficient, I'm sure that the government is doing as much as they possibly can, but I think it can be made better. So this is one of the things which I would say that the process can be made better and faster, especially for very large scale projects. For smaller projects, I don't think it's much of an issue, but let's say for ultra large projects like 5 million square meter, 10 million square meter projects, these things need to be, they take 4 or 5 months, 6 months also sometimes, So that's a key thing which I would like to see and it cannot be done without a policy change. Okay, that's the thing. It's a process, but it's defined by a policy. So that's one thing which I'd like to see change. I'm facing it right now. That's why I'm telling you this. Okay, so for a project, it's critical.
Right. So number 4. One lesson from Mazar City you think should be mandatory on every project today? I think you kind of gave us a hint to this.
Yeah. High performance envelopes. The way how they're using it is unbelievable. I think so. They're reducing cooling loads of the buildings, and it's gone to such an extent that there's massive cooling loads and cooling, that have been reduced. Double glazed units were used a lot back in the day in India. I remember when I started my career back there. But now they have just gone to the next level. The materials that they're using is unbelievable. Forget that. There are other projects over here in this region. I don't think I should name that one, but there are other projects in this region, and they're using amazing materials. There's this new technology which I think should be a mandate. The thing is that they're expensive, so that's a different thing. But we are not talking about expensive right now. Okay, we're just talking about what I feel should be a part of should be implemented right now. Okay, this is and I've always had my soft corner for building envelope design. And this is since the beginning of the days. I like playing with facades, and there's a lot of parametrics designing coming into the place. I don't know if you've seen, there's a lot of buildings that have shifting facades that are shifting towards the sun and
dynamic
shading. Dynamic facades, parametric designing. So that is, I think so. I think it's a good example, but it's expensive, But I'd like to see this in more buildings,
more and more projects. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the final question. Your advice to the next generation of architects and project managers designing for extreme climates in the region?
Come here and do it. That's the number one. Theoretical knowledge is only going to take you to a place. I feel that UAE is the industry leader in designing for climate responsive, the climate responsive basically designs, and I feel that there is so much happening here that you cannot fathom the extent of what is happening here. I'll give you. So there's a lot of uni alums that I have from back in the day. They keep on contacting me on how do we learn about this and how do we learn about that. So obviously there's a lot of white papers and studies in the market which you can read. But I always say that if you ever have an opportunity, please come to the region and work here. I think so. Your perspective towards how efficient project management can be is unbelievable. It'll change. It'll flip. So I'd say come here. And try this region. You would love it. I'm sure, Udit, you will also be. You've also been in the region for a long time, and I'm sure you don't. There's nothing but praises from your side as well for the region. But I would say come here.
Absolutely. I think this is the best place where we can kind of grow, learn, understand all of the latest is happening here. So with that, I'm going to close the session. A huge thank you to Harkeerat Singh for joining us in today's session of Designing for the Desert, the webinar series hosted by Green Grid Design. Harkeerat's insights on managing complexity, integrating resilience, and aligning project delivery with sustainability goals give us a deeper understanding of what it really takes to build future-ready, climate-resilient cities in arid regions. From environmental risk to proactive planning, agile delivery, and regulatory leadership, this session brought practical, actionable ideas to the forefront. At Green Grid Design, we remain committed to shaping dialogues around climate-responsive design, sustainability, and urban. Stay tuned for the next episode of Designing for the Desert. Until then, stay curious, stay climate conscious, and keep designing with purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you.